such a brilliant way of injecting the knowledge through such, witty humor and as simple as snakes and ladders game. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's now keep the excitement on as we now call upon the panelists to know more about the cybersecurity in a hyper-connected world, protecting the digital infrastructure. So, but before that, let me introduce to the moderator for this session, Mr. Rajesh Dhuddu, partner, Emerging Tech, PwC. So I now invite the panel members, Mr. Krishna Sastry, partner, Cybersecurity E&Y, and Mrs. Vandana Verma, Security Relations Leader, Snyk, Mr. Satish, CEO, Indian Servers, and Mr. Akhilesh, Tuteja, the Global at KPMG.
Deeper discussion and the deliberation, just to get a lay of the land, I wanted to ask a couple of questions from audience. So audience, please stay here, don't run away because I'm asking questions. Does anybody know what was the first cybersecurity attack that happened in the world? In a hyper-connected world, what was the first cybersecurity attack that happened, and who was responsible for that? Any takers? Okay, the first cybersecurity attack that happened in the world was in 1988, which was by a student called Robert Morris. He is from the Cornell University. One day he wanted to measure the size of the internet. So he wrote a program which is called as WORM, W-O-R-M, which stands for read once, write many times. So what it is going to do is it is going to percolate to every computer that is there in the world to see what kind of information is there, just to measure up the internet. So that was the unintended consequence that you referred to in your presentation. So this particular application, though it was invented by a Cornell student, for a good aspect of measuring the size of internet, infested most of the computers in the world and made the computers run much slower than they were capable of. And that kind of put a awakening call to a lot of people to look at cybersecurity. And it's also said that, to the panelists, last couple of weeks ago, I did a podcast on cybersecurity in Telugu. As it is, cybersecurity is a complex subject, and Telugu is my mother tongue, but I don't speak that often. So doing podcast in cybersecurity was very, very difficult. And I got a comment from one of the students, and he said, sir, it's all good, but you know what? The safest computer is the one which is buried 10 feet under the ground and not connected to internet. But it's not possible in today's world, right? We are living in a hyper-connected world. After 2 minutes, each one of you will go back to your mobile phones. I'm already seeing that some of you are going back to your mobile phones. And you are traveling in the cyber way, and you are already connected. You are disconnected here, connected there, you are disconnected there, you are connected here. So it's not very, very easy to live in an unconnected world. So given that, how do we keep ourselves secure? Maybe we'll start with Akhilesh to continue the flow of the thought and the train of the thought. How do you have told us many, many things, wonderful incidents, wonderful stories, intended use of AI, unintended use of AI. But the question that most of us have is how safe the connected devices in our pocket, and what is that we need to do to make them even more safer, or what are the trends that you're seeing in the marketplace?
Thank you, Rajesh, first on the compliment, and the second on that way to describe unintended consequences. The first thing I want to say that all of us are vulnerable. There is no way we can feel comfortable, and I don't want to say that in any sense of panic. I want to say in the sense of caution and being responsible for our own digital safety and cyber safety. If you happen to have any device in today's world, it will cause some or the other risk factor which you need to be concerned about. The good news is that a slight amount of education about being cyber aware. A slight amount of skepticism to watch what comes to you can make you really safe in a very different way. There are 2-3 very simple things I'll talk about so that everybody benefits from that. So the first one is try and make sure that your passwords which you use are not the same across all the platforms. We tend to have the habit of saying, if I have one password I use everywhere. This is one of the most significant challenges which we have, because a password gets hacked at one place and then all your other accounts get hacked. You might not know, but the moment any website gets attacked, all the user ID and passwords of those accounts are then published publicly. So if you did not change your passwords, that's one big thing. So don't have the same password for all types of accounts. The second simple thing I would say, especially when it comes to phone, don't install applications which you don't need and don't understand. Because even the simplest of the application or the apps which you download from App Store can have a lot of consequences. Those are the two very simple. There could be 100 things I can talk about. But basic thing which you need to keep in mind is that stay alert. It's like saying when you cross the road, you have to look left and you have to look right. You just don't cross the road, assuming that this is only your right of way. So in the digital world, stay alert, look left, look right, what can go wrong. You might think that, it can't happen to me. I think COVID has proven to all of us, saying that it can happen to all of us. You might think, saying, why me? We all realize that a lot of cyber attacks are not targeted. They just happen because you are insecure and vulnerable. So don't assume it will not happen to you. I think it will happen to all of us, but be more alert.
Thank you, Akhilesh. And I can relate to the stay alert part that you were saying. Right? One day I got a call from my dad and said, my credit card points are expiring on SDFC and there's a link, I want to click it. I had to tell him, hello, you don't have a SDFC credit card. So don't worry about the points expiring. Coming to Krishna, we're fortunate to have Krishna, who is very, very well experienced in cybersecurity. I have known him for many years. He advises Interpol and various other leading organizations globally. So how are you seeing this, Krishna? I'm always of the opinion that, when we are doing a session like this, the cyber criminals also do a session similar to for the fraternity, right? They also want to learn, they also want to share, and they also want to be ahead of the game. So how are you seeing in the international landscape from a forensic analysis perspective?
Thank you very much and good afternoon to all of you. Today, if you look at how the cybercrime is, it has become a highly mature industry. The global cost of cybercrime is $5 trillion US. By 2026, it's going to reach to $10 trillion US. It means cybercrime is going to have a more revenue than what Mr. Modi is thinking of. Please remember this part very clear. So today, the third largest economy in the world is nothing but the cybercrime. That's the first point. And while we are unable to control, cybercrime has become a very mature industry with a perfect supply chain management. You are thinking about major attacks. Forget about the major attacks. As you said, your dad has got a call, right? The person who calls your dad is different from the person who transfers the money and the person who ultimately takes the money. It means the mule accounts, ultimately where the money is going, ultimately how the money is going out of the country. Everything is a perfect supply chain management. If you look at, for example, the banking systems, there are 14 major cyber attacks has happened on the SWIFT systems of the bank where international funds will get transferred. Maybe fortunately or unfortunately, as the Interpol member, I investigated 13 of them, including the Bangladesh attack. Who is really behind these attacks? Finally, the money is going and landing in the casinos of Philippines and Macau, or in the drug cartels of Southern America, or the arms dealers of the Middle East. So do you think drug cartels are in the hack? No. Drug cartels will hire the hackers, hacker will hack the bank, transfer the money. For every 100 crores, they are going to charge them 20%. It's surprising for many of you. Today, if you go to dark web, there people are studying. I have 2,000 accounts of ABC Bank of India. Having internet banking facility and ATM facility, commission is 30%. It means fraudster can transfer the money, from there he can further transfer it, but you have to give a 30%. Today, cybercrime has become such a mature crime. The reason is lack of awareness on the part of lot of people want to do it. For example, I'm asking many of you, including you, Is 4 GB RAM mobile phone is better or 8 GB RAM is better for your mobile phone? Any of you can give the answer. The reason is, I can say, today no virus will come and install in our computers or mobile phones. Take it granted. Everything is going to work only at the memory of your systems. Because many of you are saying, oh, go and type something, my username and password, look at is it HTTPS, the data will get encrypted, go to the bank server, get decrypted. But in this there is a lacuna, I don't know if you observed or not. When you are typing something, data will not go to hard drive, data will go to first your RAM. In the RAM, your data of username and password is available in plain unencrypted format. Today, no virus is going to enter into our system. It is going to take from the RAM. We popularly call the RAM scrappers or memory resident malwares. So, we know very well about RAM will work only as long as our system is non-conditioned. If we shut down the RAM, data will disappear. So, sincere request for all of you, let it be your computer, let it be your mobile phone. Every day at least make it off once and make it on, so that if any memory resident malware will available, will get lost. So due to lack of firmware on the part of the user to use a proper technology, like what Akhilesh has mentioned about it, we are blindly going behind many of the technologies without understanding what the offshoot of that one. Because I've seen in the top also something called as a low code, no code. Right? It's a very surprising concept, many of you, but we know it. I being a Reserve Bank of India member for the last 10 years and a SEBI member, all the advisory frameworks that has written by me for RBI as well as the SEBI. You'll be surprised to know a lot of people ask, Sastry, why RBI is not in favor of blockchain? My blockchain friend will ask. And some people say, sir, why RBI is not going for a digitization of low code, no code? You know what is low code, no code? Dragging and dropping, here our application is over. It means today I went to Visakhapatnam beach. My friend said, let us eat something. I asked someone who is preparing. He folded the paper, put the murmure in that, onion, the nimbu, and my product is ready. So low code, no code is dragging and dropping, your application is ready. Because nowadays this generation, remember, coders are not present, they want this easy understanding. But do you know from where you got the DLL file, library file, from where you got it? Any idea? Answer is no. Where they are getting connected, do you have any idea? No. That's where the biggest risk today Indian market is facing is something called supply chain risk. Right. We have no control about hardwares and softwares. These are the biggest trend that is happening. So criminals to nations are really present behind these attacks.
Thank you, Krishna. You also open a perfect segue to go to Vandana. But before we get to Vandana, what Krishna had mentioned in terms of cybercrime is the most lucrative crime. Right? At COVID, I was looking at that point of time, I was running cybersecurity for Tech Mahindra, and I was looking at the cost of frauds. The cost of banking fraud, if you put it per person, it is probably about $1,000. The cost of drug, in terms of selling drugs and the amount that the person makes, is $10,000. But the cost of one successful cybercrime is $6 million. So no wonder cybercrime is the most lucrative profession. Obviously, we don't have to encourage our people to get into that particular profession. So he did talk about the supply chain attack. So Vandana, for the benefit of audience, can you explain what is supply chain attack and how does it happen and what should we do to protect ourselves from those supply chain attacks?
In plain words, supply chain is like early. I think there was one session which was done before the session where the speaker was talking about, let's say there is a farmer, he's sowing the seeds, then the seeds become plants, fruits, vegetables. Those vegetables are being plucked and then sent to a vendor using a truck, and then it goes to the market and then we buy it. It's like a complete cycle. Similarly, softwares are being developed somewhere and then being passed on to people using different technologies. But think of a situation when you're building a software, there is a vulnerability in that software from the very start, from the very get-go. And if it's being transmitted or sent to, let's say, 1,000 vendors also, 1,000 organizations, or now I've seen a lot of students are aware about these applications, and I can see that here we have so many university students who are coming up with innovations and so many wonderful apps. But if those apps have vulnerabilities from the very beginning, how do you figure it out? So now sir was mentioning about that we have to just drag and drop. So there was a research which was done by Linux Foundation where they mentioned that 80 to 90% is the code which is open source, which is being created by people, open it up for others to use it. And let me tell you, my website is completely open source. Now I've built using the open source code which is there. Now only 10 to 20% is the max that we are actually building up. And 10 to 20% is what they have discovered like 2 years back. Maybe it has gone down immensely now. Now we are coming up with new things. So the 80 to 90% that we are using, we need to be very sure what we are using. Now take an example of our house. We have windows, we have doors. Now there are 4 windows and 4 doors in our house. We are going on a vacation. Now there is one window in the attic. Now, we don't have attics these days, but still there are certain windows which we don't remember that we have to shut it. So we leave them open or we just forget about them. Now an attacker comes from those windows and take our all stuff and go wherever he has to go or she has to go. What will you do about that? Similarly, when we are using open source in our supply chain ecosystem, we need to be sure about what we use it. Like third-party dependencies, third-party softwares, third-party vendors. We are talking about collaborations or joining hands. So with whom we are joining hands is the most important thing. And where we are sharing the data. So supply chain ecosystem actually caters to multiple things. First, whom we are allowing in our house, the third-party vendors. The third-party risks, the dependencies that we are using. Because we are actually saying, come into our house and we want to use you. So even if there is one dependency which is actually a problem for your code, which means which will get you in trouble. For example, in 2017, so supply chain hacks are not new, but we started talking about it maybe let's say 10 years back or so. Why? Because we were not very fascinated about that and there were so many other things to talk about, ransomwares and whatnot. So now when we talk about supply chain security attacks, because they're part of the software, there's a company called Equifax which got breached. And everybody was like, oh, this has happened to my critical documents and financial data, my PII data, what will I do? Now when they were hacked, how it all started. Apache is a software foundation. They released a vulnerability information and they said, okay, this package is vulnerable. Everybody got to know, and because it was a public advisory. Then they said, oh, we have released a patch, you all should update it. Some of the companies started updating, rest of them, they were like, okay, we will do it. So it was like a phase. Some said, okay, we will do it. It is like in the futuristic stage. Now, while they were trying to do it, it was whole like 2 to 3 months time frame where Equifax got breached and they didn't even realize that they have already been breached. So for months, the attacker was actually inside the organization sniffing all the data, and when it became public, they got to know. And let me tell you, the weekends, we had to work on the weekends to figure out which all apps of ours were actually vulnerable. Now that company got breached. We don't know that many other companies might have got breached as well during the same time, but the data was not available to us. Fast forward 2021. So for months we did not take vacations because we were working remote, we were not going out, we were not going anywhere. And in December 2021, there's an attack which happens around the supply chain ecosystem, which is SolarWinds. So SolarWinds have a software called Orion, which has been used by the government agencies to Fortune 500 companies. And the simple thing, in their whole DevSecOps or development pipeline, there is a file that has been added to the software, which has been shipped to all the organizations, which is actually using that Orion software. And what happens next? They don't even know that they are using the software, which is already breached from the get-go. And there's someone who's just listening to their conversations, what's happening in the software, what's happening in the ecosystem. Now everyone starts to panic about it. Oh, what has happened? What should we do now? Now it's like almost 5 years after that. Then came issues with Colonial Pipeline. Now I'm talking about the US pipeline, gas pipeline, where simple thing, a person like you or me was working there and they were using the same password for one of my personal apps like I was using for my organization. So this is what I've read, or the statistics that I've seen. So this person had that, and the attacker realized, oh, this seems interesting, can we try and log into the system? So using their VPN credentials, got into the system, and actually the whole data was encrypted. They paid the money to the attacker, still they were not able to decrypt to the speed that they wanted to. Interestingly, these things seem very small, but they become so big. So the most important thing we need to remember when we are using any software is that we need to keep it up to date. We need to know what we use. Like Akhilesh sir said, that we need to be very much aware about what kind of apps do we have on the phone. There are tons of apps which we have on our phones which we don't even use it. They're just lying there, we are not even updating them as well. It is like inviting somebody into our house to say that take anything from our tijori and just go away. It's all yours. Another interesting aspect is passwords. Now passwords are like toothbrushes. Do we share our toothbrush with anyone? Oh yes, absolutely. So it's a personal hygiene. So do we share our toothbrush with anyone? Not even with our best friends, with our partners. So we need to be very clever about it, that we don't share it. I don't share my Netflix password also. So it is like personal hygiene. So supply chain security actually starts with the personal hygiene for an organization, to be sure that whatever they have, whatever we are using, whatever we are downloading is actually secure. If not secure, because we are not 100% secure all the time, we are keeping it up to date. So that's in simple words.
Thank you, Vandana. So two things, right? One is in terms of, she was referring to the Colonial Pipeline attack, which actually happened through an OT device. They compromised the OT device, and through that particular OT device, the attacker got into the system. And then they had the audacity to write the mail to the CEO saying, we take our business very seriously. Within 2 hours you pay our amount, all your systems will be back to normal and you can trust us. Right? And what she was basically referring to is from a supply chain attack is, usually you would have heard that you have to click a link which is called as a phishing attack. But in supply chain it happens, they are called as zero-click exploits, which means you're not even clicking anything, but you're still being exploited because you downloaded a software from an original equipment manufacturer who himself has been compromised. So Sai, you work on India servers. How are you seeing this particular space evolving? I presume that the fact that you run this company called India Service, I'm sure you must be working with a lot of government organizations. How are you seeing this particular space evolving?
Sure. Is there anyone who can't understand Telugu? Only one, two? Telugu ardham kaani varu. Telugu ardham kaani varu. Only one? Idu ardhamayindante Telugu ardham avutundi. Okay. So most of you can understand Telugu. Let me speak in Telugu.
No problem, I can translate it. Not an issue. Please go ahead.
So translation అవసరం లేదు సార్.
అర్థమవుతుంది. ఒకళ్ళు ఉన్నారు, వాళ్ళు they may feel that it's a free entertainment for them.
No sir. Akhilesh and Vandana సర్వర్ చూసాక నేను 14 members 15 members ని మేనేజ్ చేయడానికి అంటే మన భాషలో తోలు తీరిపోతుంది. 40,000 employees సార్ అంటారు, 40,000 అండ్ వరల్డ్ వైడ్ 3 lakh employees. చూసాక సూపర్ అనిపించింది సార్ చూసాక మార్నింగ్.
So basically what you're saying is there's a saying in Telugu which means, you know, if you have to manage 10 to 14 people, you have to, your breath goes away, your life goes away, right?
I'll take that opportunity to translate.
Yeah, please.
Okay sir, I'll speak with you after a few minutes sir. Okay, so ఫస్ట్ థింగ్ ఏంటంటే ఇక్కడ దాదాపుగా అందరూ స్మార్ట్ ఫోన్ వాడుతున్న వాళ్ళే కదా. ఈజ్ దర్ ఎనీవన్ హూ ఈజ్ నాట్ యూజింగ్ స్మార్ట్ ఫోన్? నో వన్, రైట్? ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ ఆర్ యూజింగ్ స్మార్ట్ ఫోన్స్. సార్ తెలుగు మాట్లాడతాను చెప్పాను కదా, తెలుగులో మాట్లాడదాం. సరే, ఎంతమంది యాంటీవైరస్ వాడుతున్నారు? యాంటీవైరస్ ఎంతమంది యూజ్ చేస్తున్నారు? వెరీ లిమిటెడ్. ఓకే, డోంట్ వరీ, ఐ షేర్ వన్ యాంటీవైరస్ 2025 యాంటీవైరస్. అది కనుక మీ మొబైల్లో ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకుంటే నో వన్ కెన్ హ్యాక్ యువర్ మొబైల్ ఫోన్. ఓకే, ఒకసారి మోడీ గారు SRM యూనివర్సిటీలో ఇలా చెప్పారు, ఐటీ ప్లస్ ఐటీ ఈక్వల్ టు ఐటీ, ఐటీ ప్లస్ ఐటీ ఈక్వల్ టు ఐటీ. అంటే ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ టెక్నాలజీ ప్లస్ ఇండియన్ టాలెంట్ ఈక్వల్ టు ఇండియాస్ టుమారో అన్నారు. బాగుంది కదా? ప్రతిసారి వెళ్ళినప్పుడల్లా చెప్తుంటాను. నేను నా 4th బుక్ సైబర్ సెక్యూరిటీ మీద రాసినప్పుడు CS ప్లస్ CS ఈక్వల్ టు CS అని రాశాను. CS ప్లస్ CS ఈక్వల్ టు CS అంటే సైబర్ సెన్స్ ప్లస్ కామన్ సెన్స్ ఈక్వల్ టు సైబర్ సెక్యూరిటీ. ఈ సైబర్ సెన్స్ లేకపోయినా, కామన్ సెన్స్ లేకపోయినా వీ కెనాట్ అచీవ్ సైబర్ సెక్యూరిటీ. ఓకే, సరే, ఇందాక ఒకటి ఇస్తానని చెప్పారు కదా, యాంటీవైరస్ 2025 యాంటీవైరస్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకుంటే నో వన్ కెన్ హ్యాక్ యువర్ మొబైల్. హౌ మెనీ ఆఫ్ ఇంట్రెస్టెడ్? రైజ్ ఆన్ హ్యాండ్స్. బి క్విక్. ఎస్, మొట్టమొదటిగా మనం చేయాల్సింది ఇలాంటివి ఎవరైనా చెప్తే నమ్మటం మానేయాలి. గాట్ ఇట్? కనిపించే ప్రతిదీ, వినిపించే ప్రతిదీ నిజం కాదని మైండ్లో పెట్టుకోవాలి. కామన్ సెన్స్ అప్లై చేయాలి. ఇంటర్నెట్లో అయినా, ఫ్రెండ్స్ చెప్పినా కనిపించే ప్రతిదీ, వినిపించే ప్రతిదీ నమ్మడం మానేయాలి. ఎవరో SBI లోగోతోటి వాట్సాప్ గ్రూప్లో పెడతారు, మీకు ఏదో రివార్డ్ పాయింట్స్ వచ్చాయి, 40,000 ఉన్నాయి, ఇది డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి అని. ద మూమెంట్ యూ బిలీవ్ దట్ నాన్ సెన్స్, యుల్ బీ హ్యాక్డ్. దెర్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ కాల్డ్ 100% సెక్యూరిటీ. దెర్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ కాల్డ్ 100% సెక్యూరిటీ. ఓన్లీ కామన్ సెన్స్. వీ కెన్ ప్యాచ్ వల్నరబిలిటీస్, బట్ ఇట్స్ నాట్ ఈజీ టు ప్యాచ్ హ్యూమన్ స్టూపిడిటీ. ఈ హ్యూమన్స్ ఎంతమంది అయితే స్టూపిడ్గా ఉంటారో వాళ్ళ సైబర్ అసెట్స్ అనేవి వలనరబుల్ అవుతూనే ఉంటాయి. సో ఫస్ట్ థింగ్, మనం సెక్యూర్ అవ్వాలి అంటే ప్రతిదీ నమ్మటం మానేయాలి, అనలైజ్ చేయాలి, ఏం లూజ్ అవుతామో స్టడీ చేయాలి. ఏదో ఒక అప్లికేషన్ కనిపిస్తుంది, సూపర్గా ఒక్కసారి ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకో, నీకు 100 రూపాయలు, నాకు 100 రూపాయలు అంటాడు. ద మూమెంట్ యూ బిలీవ్ 100 రూపాయలు వస్తాయి, మన డేటా ఎగిరిపోతుంది, మన డేటా వెళ్ళిపోతుంది. ఫోటోషాప్ క్రాక్డ్ వర్షన్ డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకుని అంటారు, రాన్సమ్ వేర్ అటాక్ అవుతుంది. వలనరబిలిటీస్ ఉంటాయి, మనం ప్యాచెస్ అప్లై చేసుకో. సైబర్ సెన్స్ ఉండాలి, కామన్ సెన్స్ ఉండాలి. ఈ రెండు ఉంటేనే విల్ బి సెక్యూర్. ఈ సైబర్ క్రిమినల్స్ అందరినీ ఒక దేశంలో పడేస్తే ఇట్ ఈస్ ద 3rd లార్జెస్ట్ ఎకానమీ ఇన్ ద వరల్డ్. అన్ని సైబర్ క్రైమ్స్, సైబర్ ఫ్రాడ్స్ జరుగుతున్నాయి. వీళ్ళకి కనుక ఒక్కసారి, అంటే 2 రకాల గురువులు, 2 గురువులు. ఒక గురువు పాఠం నేర్పించి డబ్బులు తీసుకుంటాడు, ఇంకొక గురువు డబ్బులు తీసుకొని పాఠం నేర్పిస్తాడు. సైబర్ క్రిమినల్ కూడా ఒక పాఠం నేర్పించే గురువు, కానీ ఎక్కువ ఛార్జ్ చేస్తాడు. 5 లక్షలు, 10 లక్షలు, 30 లక్షలు, 5,000, 3,000 తీసుకొని పాఠం నేర్పిస్తారు. సైబర్ క్రైమ్స్ బేసిక్ అవేర్నెస్ ఉండి, కీలాగర్స్ గురించి, ట్రోజన్స్ గురించి, స్పైవేర్స్ గురించి, ఎక్కడ క్లిక్ చేయాలి, దేన్ని క్లిక్ చేయాలి, దేన్ని క్లిక్ చేయకూడదు, ఏది నమ్మాలి, ఏది నమ్మకూడదు, 3rd పార్టీ వెబ్సైట్స్ ఏంటి, బైండర్స్ ఏంటి, ఒక బేసిక్ సైబర్ సెన్స్తో, ఒక కామన్ సెన్స్ ఉంటే మోస్ట్లీ విల్ బీ సెక్యూర్. బట్ 100% సెక్యూరిటీ అనేది ఉండదు. బట్ ఈ 2 జాగ్రత్తగా మనం మేనేజ్ చేస్తే చాలా వరకు సెక్యూర్గా ఉంటుంది. That's it, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Sai. So, Sai is basically saying in a hyper-connected world. Yeah, sure.
I closed my eyes and I was very scared because whatever he was saying sounding when I was getting married and priest was saying something, it sounded very similar. So that was very scary moment. This was equally scary.
Yeah. So, moving on, in terms of in hyper-connected world, there's another set of factors which are there. They are called as APT groups, Advanced Persistent Threat Groups. And the key difference between cyber criminals and APTs are government sponsored. So you have a Pakistani APT group, you have an Indian APT group, you have Chinese APT group, you have US APT group, you have Russian APT group. So one of the colonial pipeline attack, the solar wind attack, they have ascribed it to the Russian APT groups. So coming to Krishna, what are you seeing in this APT world? How are corporates, governments are able to detect that, and what are the trends that you are seeing, and should a common man like us should be concerned about the activity of these APT groups?
Right. So let me go for remember who are these cyber threat actors. Around 20-25 years back, we used to read in the newspaper a 15-year Hyderabad boy is hacked successfully. So we used to call them as kiddies, a 15-year immature hacker who assembles some of the existing softwares and will try to hack it. He's not a very great mature hackers. So from there, organized criminals have come. From there, disgruntled employees. The next step is nothing but intelligence agencies. Today, really, who is this threat actors is the governments. So in reality, there is a small correction. All APT groups, the word APT stands for Advanced Persistent Threats. They need not be remembered governments, but there is a set of group of people having a focused reactivity. So if their ultimate aim is to attack the State Bank of India, they work for 6 months, 7 months till they achieve their targets. It is like, somebody is preparing for a civil service examination. 1 year preparation, how he is going to do it. If he fails again, he is going to start. So APT groups, one of the main characteristics is they are highly focused, they are targeted. Till they achieve their object, they are going to work on them. So that's why where we are finding it is, the average time when attackers are spending any bank network to attack is 186 days. It means 6 months attackers are going to be present. For example, look at the case, a very major attack happened in the Indian banking system called Cosmos Bank. It is a Pune-based bank where cyber attackers manipulated the ATM system and money has been withdrawn in 25 countries. And the attack has happened on August 11th, 2018, but attackers first penetrated into the bank network on September 2017. So 11 months they worked on that. So one of the main characteristics of this APT group is nothing but highly focused, targeted. Till they achieve their object, they will not leave. That's the first point you should. Then who will provide the salary for these 100 hackers for the 1 year? It is ultimately governments are going to fund. That's where people will get a feeling. APT attackers means government funding. It need not be governments. Certain agencies will also fund it. Second is APT attackers' aim is not always to get remembered of money in the form of a cash. There is a group of people who will try to target defense system to get their intellectual properties. That's where we are finding it is. Look at a group called Lazarus, which is a North Korean group. They always target the banking systems. That is a North Korean group, and how they enter into bank network is first they send a phishing mail, make an employee to compromise it. There is another group is called Russian group. They are called popularly Cobalt group. They will enter into the organization's network not via phishing, but exploiting any vulnerability. There is a one group called Chinese APT25 group. They never attack Indian banking systems because they know this money has nothing for them. They always target the defense systems and the space systems. So APT28 group, APT10 group, remember Hidden Cobra group, they are all specifically remembered. But after what we are finding it's very difficult to corroborate it. I remember many times you might have read it in the newspaper, Chinese hackers hacked the Indian systems, or Koreans hacked, never trust it. The reason why we can never trust it is, we can never identify who is the hacker on the basis of the IP address. Americans will host a server in China, from there they attack you, you will get a feeling that Chinese are involved. No, that is not correct. So that was the reason why we never used to trust who is the attacker, point number one. But the type of toolkits they use it to make it. Remember, anytime robbery happens, police will come and say Rajasthan gang is involved, Gujarat gang is involved. Because the type of weapons the Rajasthan gang is involved to break is different from them. That we popularly call as indicators of what? Compromise. And indicators of attack. So we popularly call indicators of attack. But now we are very difficult to identify that also. Rajasthan gang is giving the toolkit to Gujarat gang is giving it. Even today, who is the real attacker is impossible to find it out. For example, the last week there is one group called Muddy Water Group, which is Iranian hacking group APT. They never used to target India. But lot of Indian organizations got impacted last 15 days. The toolkit is Iranian Muddy Water Group, but we are pretty sure it has come from China. Because they exchange the toolkit from Iran to China, that's where a collaboration is happening between the nations. That's what we are saying. And last point is, today APT attackers are targeting a different one for information, not your organization can put a system to put a ransomware. That's a local job. Because they are all gone about it. For information, if I use the word Somalia, what will come to your mind? Anybody? Pirates. Somalian pirates will go into the sea, threaten the shipfellow, get the oil and sell it in the shore. That is the model of the Somalian pirates. Today Somalian pirates are not going to the sea. the ship is coming towards the shore. Because they're intercepting the GPS signals, changing the latitude and longitude, so the ship is automatically coming. Today the APT attackers are working on something called GPS spoofing attacks, GPS jamming attacks, and satellite signals interception. That is a core area where they are really working. I'm not supposed to disclose because they're recording something. It is some aircraft which has gone missing is one of the reasons is they intercepted the GPS signals, changed the latitude, longitude, the plane and went and landed. Or one public news you can read it. Today you can go to Google and type, right? Indigo, Vistara, Air India, plus GPS, remember, jamming and Iran, you will read it. September, remember last year, the aircrafts which went from India to US, Indigo, Vistara and Air India, once they went into Iran airspace, they could not identify where is their aircraft. Then they went into Iraq airspace, got connected to ATC tower. The first question Indian pilots have asked, where is our aircraft now and what is the current time? Today APT attackers are targeting the satellite interceptions and GPS zooming and jamming is happening. They are not just targeting any bank computer systems, etc. That's where APT attacks are really going to kill all of us.
They should see Pushpa 2 movie so that they will change their focus, I think. Okay, so all of you have, first of all, thank you Krishna, thanks for very fascinating details and great insights. I will switch the gear, otherwise the audience will start thinking about lucrative career in cybercrime now. So to prevent that, Vandana, please tell the audience what are the career opportunities that are there in, not in cybercrime but in cybersecurity area.
So when we talk about cybersecurity, how many of you are students here? We have some of the students, and now interestingly, when we talk about cybersecurity, everyone has their own perspective, but I feel that whichever field you are in, you can be part of cybersecurity at any given age. Because when we say cybersecurity, we have phones, we have our smart TVs, we have fridge, geyser, everything that is there around us is connected to the internet, which means we're trying to be part of cybersecurity in one way or the other. So for all the students, the first thing to start off is that decide where you want to head. There are many specializations in cybersecurity that we have. There's application security. So when you're writing apps, you're trying to secure the code. So the secure code reviews that you do, or you write application securely, the way you see Facebook, Instagram, or let me give you an example. How many of you are on Instagram? All of us, right? Some way or the other. Like Orkut, we are from Orkut generation, so Orkut, Facebook, and now a lot of people are on Instagram. So some of you might be Instagram stars, you might be posting daily. Think of a situation where one day Instagram goes down, it should not go down. It's a hypothetical example, and all your pictures are gone. Or somebody might have got your password, or somebody might have deleted your pictures. It will be very scary. So there are people out there at different organizations securing the application. Now, the applications are not just the web applications that you see. There are mobile applications where you have mobile devices and you have apps on your phone. So that's another field that, or the area that is there. Then there is securing the network. Now here we are connected in a network and we are trying to secure. So there are multiple fields that are there. You need to decide where you want to head into. There are so many certifications. Now I'm not a big fan of certifications because they are like the gatekeep. They are like one solution to get into a job. But actually, if you take it in a different way, when you're learning from it, then it's amazing. There are so many wonderful organizations who are training, who are giving information about cybersecurity. So you can actually join hands with them. Or since morning we've been talking about networking. So network with people who are part of different areas. Like here we are from different companies, we're working in different areas, we're talking about different topics. So you can connect with each of us and talk about, okay, this is what I am doing currently, what else can I do? So there are people who can help you out. Reach out to them on LinkedIn, Twitter. There are so many platforms which are there. Connect with them. Networking is very key when we say cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is one of those areas where the peers, the seniors, or anyone around is always open to share anything and everything with you. I've not seen like such wonderful community than cybersecurity, where everyone says that, oh, let me share. Like they were talking about attackers. Attackers also share the information. So here we are ethical hackers and sharing those details. So to start off, very beginning, start with your phone devices or tell your people around that this is how we can start, and think from a different mindset. Now for me, anything that I have around, I always think what can go wrong with it. That's where it starts off.
Thank you. Thank you, Vandana. Akhilesh, anything from your perspective you would like to add? Okay, I think Krishna wanted to add. Sai, anything from your side?
Cybersecurity, as I told you, it's the most common thing. We cannot avoid technology. If someone says AI is eating your jobs, or because of new technology, cyber criminals are growing a lot, we cannot stop technology. Awareness is a key solution. If we are aware about few things, we will not fall in the traps. So be aware, be secure. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Here, let me add, still I remember in 1990s, when we seize a mobile phone or something from a terrorist or an accident, we were part of police for quite a long time. And if it is password protected, we used to have equipment worth 3 crores of rupees to crack the password. It never used to work. We used to carry this mobile phone to a place in Hyderabad called Jagdish Market, where a boy who is 8th standard failed cadet used to crack it and give it in 2 minutes. The reason why I mentioned about it, I never seen in my life any time a great cyber security expert or a crime, because cyber criminal is also a special security member, that is also another branch, right? He should not have any great degrees. If he is a B.Tech computer science IIT, he can never become a great cyber security expert. So how to become a criminal? You can never, by taking any degree certificate or 15 days program, it will never work it. It has to come by passion. So if you want to be a good cyber security specialist, learn. It is only going to be on the basis of the passion and the interest you are going it. Certificates will never help you take it granted. This is the point I would like to say. Second, if you take today, you are having 100 people of cyber security specialists in India, take the scale as 100, but they're all going to be only for the IT systems. Hardly 10% people were there for OT systems, and 0.5% people were there for the SCADA systems. So please, if you are really going to work on the cyber security, if you don't want to be a journalist like a normal cyber security, go for OT systems and go for SCADA systems. A beautiful roadmap is available. And that's where today we are seeing in the digitally connected world, hyper-connected world. Certainly at the end of the day, IT systems need to connect to OT systems, need to connect to the SCADA systems. So concentrate that area, that is going to help you to a great extent, not just concentrate on the basic cyber security of the IT systems. It will never make you to stand in the court, right? In the market, I believe.
Thank you, Krishna. Absolutely. In terms of, many of us have seen this in our childhood, right? If somebody is being given a new video game, all that we used to do is we used to play. But 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000 used to bring the screwdriver and open the video game to see what is there inside the video game. So Krishna is asking us to cultivate that kind of a mindset, unbox, unscrew, and then see what is available, so that you learn from the brass tacks.
Krishna, just I want to share, I live in Delhi. On the northern part of the state, they don't go to Hyderabad market, nor they spend hours. They physically break the people to get the password out. That's an easier method. Thanks, North India, please.
Yeah, so I think now is the time to open the floor for questions from the audience. Thank you for listening very patiently and intently. If there is any question from any one of you, please feel free to ask. Introduce yourself, state for whom the question is, and then ask your question. Please don't make statements, only questions. Anybody? Yeah, please.
Insight, deep insight, and have a global experience. The Gen AI guardrails are still holding. Still, they are not generating malwares, even if some people are trying to generate malware by hosting them inside in-houses. The malware quality is not, they are not generating very new, they're still being detected by the existing antiviruses. How do you see how long this will hold? When is the time when you start seeing the new generation of malwares emerging which we don't recognize?
Great question. I want to first say is that we as humans tend to think linear. So we think what happened 3 years ago is likely to happen 3 years next. But that's not how technology works. So technology has step changes. So you are largely right that today's machine-generated malwares are a manifestation of the existing malware. So they are not completely new, creative knowledge. But when will that penny drop moment happen? And when it will start to create that new way of doing things will be unbelievable for anybody to predict. Even if you ask the AI researchers at OpenAI and you ask them saying that will even the 3.5 GPT will become so context sensitive, they possibly would not have been able to predict and believe. So there's a lot of unbelievable change which the technology brings, so that's one reason for it to not happen. The second reason why prediction on this one is hard is right now there's a lot of money being thrown in this development. Okay, I don't know how long will that money last, because right now there is more money than the realizable outcome. At some point, either that equation will take off and will become like a big thing, or it will go away. I'll give you one example. Again, I love stories, so I'll tell you the story. In late 60s and early 70s, there's this big space race, Russia versus USSR at that time versus US, and USSR sent a satellite in the space. So the US president said we have to now put somebody on the moon. And 1969, I still remember, I was not born, but I still remember that. The first man on moon walked, which is Neil Armstrong. And when that happened, everybody started to predict, saying that now we will have lunar colonies, we'll start to have travel to moon, and we'll have this thing. So lots of newspapers reported what will happen in next few years. Do you know when did the last man walked onto the moon? Does anybody want to take a guess? The first man walked in 1969. When did the last man walk onto the moon? 84? 1972. In 3 years, they said only 12 people so far have touched moon. Even though the prediction at that point in time that all of us and our kids will live in moon. So the economics did not play out for that lunar thing. So today, honestly speaking, does the economics for GPT-4o work? No. But we'll figure out. So if we figure out the economics for these better, I think we will reach that point much faster than what you, and you are playing in the quantum field. I want to congratulate you for picking up that field, because I think we will reach quantum sooner than what anybody will predict here, and hopefully more power to you, and maybe you are the one which reaches sooner than the others.
Thanks for the wishes, sir.
Thank you, Akhilesh. Krishna also wanted to share some perspective.
Let me add a your point. Maybe you are thinking that generative AI is not producing the malware, right?
I'm saying producing.
No, let me tell you, because you are seeing only the other side, but if you look at the dark web, already there is something called fraud GPT, warm GPT available. Fraud GPT is the one which generates the spam by which phishing mail you take it, which cannot be detected by the existing anti-phishing solutions. Warm GPT is generating the malwares which cannot be detected by the existing antiviruses. For example, it's a subscription based. And go to dark web, join the group of Warm GPT, WORM GPT. There you type it, I want a malware code which can evade the EDR solution of CrowdStrike. You are going to get the entire code. Okay? So that's possible. Point number one. Second is you are from the quantum side, but we are also using it in another way. For example, today I am selling 1 GB of unencrypted data. It is 1,000 rupees. 10 GB of encrypted data is only 1 rupee. Because encrypted data is not of no use. People will do. But today people are purchasing and storing the encrypted data. For example, I purchased 10 terabytes of encrypted data with a very cheaper price of $100 and stored in Google servers. I have written my will, 5 TB to my eldest daughter and another 5 TB to my second daughter, because we are all waiting when the remember quantum computing comes. So that's where we are using a new concept called SNDL, store now, decrypt later, or HNDL, harvest now, decrypt later. If anybody is having money with you, if anybody is selling encrypted data at a very cheaper price, please purchase it, store it. After 3 years, it's going to become a big revenue earner for all of you. And you can, once we are getting India DPDP Act also, now you can say the boss, your data is available with me, pay me 50 crores, otherwise go for a penalty of 250 crores. So this is what the new business model which already criminals have started in India. In fact, it is not the, remember cybersecurity people who are waiting for when the DPDP Act is coming. Hackers in the chat forums, when the DPDP Act rules will come, because they already stolen the data they are kept with them. The second rules come, they want to blackmail the company, either pay me this much or I pay the penalty of 250. So they are very, very keen interest. Really, they want to also fund the government to please release the rules fast, at a faster time, right? That's what the current trend is happening in the market.
Thank you, Krishna. So don't put money in real estate or land. Put money in these things. Right? I think it's time. Time is up. Sai, okay. Last question. We'll take one more question.
Ma'am, I am Koman from KPMG University. I am currently pursuing my third year in cybersecurity. So, ma'am, as you previously said that certificates are not matter for skill. But as a fresher, as a student, the company which will hire will see the certifications, what you have done in these 4 years. So, currently I am very enthusiastic in the associate analyst and the digital forensic. So, what might the certifications should I do? So that the company will be approaching me.
So one is obviously people will get carried away by certificates if you don't have actions to show. But nothing stops you from looking for bug bounty kind of programs. The best cybersecurity careers have come to people who excelled in bug bounty. Krishna can correct me. You can look at those kind of programs, bug bounty, red teaming, blue teaming, capture the flag. There are many things that are available on the World Wide Web. By collaborating with people either in a GitHub Copilot or a Slack, the more you start doing it, it's like a what do you call reality TV actor, right? A reality TV actor may say that I'm from National School of Drama. It doesn't mean anything until and unless they show 1 or 2 skits that they have done. When people look at the skit, they don't focus much on the certification. So analogy is somewhat similar to that. One way you can go on accumulating certificates with zero deliverables or showcaseability, it's not going to help. But if you have a very good showcaseability and 0 certificates, you will still be preferred. Okay, so that's the power of cybersecurity. It never happened to me in my career where 3 people from, I wouldn't use the word competition, but at least we have KPMG, PwC and EY together. Only cybersecurity can do that. Thank you.
Common sense is the greatest of all the qualifications one must have. So, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to the speakers here. This is such a serious and scary topic, and yet I so appreciate the panel speakers for making it so easily, hilariously penetrated into our heads. Thank you for that. And now moving on to the appreciation part of it, I would like to call upon Mr. Govind Muvala, Director Operations from Cerebra IT Services, and Srinivas Akrandi, Director HR from the same Cerebra IT Services, to hand over the mementos to the speakers.